WWE sacks one of their newest writers over not knowing the name of the WWE Champion. Maybe some of the things that she may have said. We're going to talk about it in just a second, so stay tuned. This is WrstlXtra.
Yo, folks, this is your boy A Dazzle, hot, sweaty, panting, heavily panting like an idiot because I was running like a madman to get here on time. Even though we started early, I was still late. Anyway, we're here. This is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy A Dazzle alongside my guy. What's your name again? Sorry, no. I do know his name. I'm not a WWE writer. I do know his name. His name is Mex. This is the WrestleManiac. Mex, bro, what's good, man? What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, things have been good. We've had at least 2 consistent Raws in the last couple of weeks, which has been decent.
Very true.
Obviously mixed with the news of releases, not just personnel, superstars, should I say, but backroom staff, creative writers.
We'll talk about that.
And we have had some, pretty big headlines in terms of people moving around the place and new signings to new promotions. So
all sorts. There's been a lot going on. But at the same time, for us, because we are very specific on what we talk about, there's not necessarily a lot for us to talk about. But we mentioned personnel, creative, people coming and going, people not knowing people's names. The biggest story, I guess, of our week has been that of the creative writing scandal, I guess you might want to call it, because it's just been an absolute madness. So we had a WWE writer by the name of Kenice Mobley. So Kenice Mobley is a writer for the WWE, but has come from she's a stand-up comedian, comedy writing and stuff like that. So on a podcast that's not even wrestling related, as far as I understand, it's called the Asian Not Asian podcast. And I know she was on there talking about general stuff, her comedy stuff, and I think she was even talking about dating apps and whatever else. Awesome. And got into the talk of obviously what she does, and she had recently been given the job of creative writer by WWE. Kenice Mobley, in all her wisdom, very sarcastically I say that, decided to tell this podcast and obviously the host that she was given a job and has no knowledge, not just no knowledge, but no interest in pro wrestling. My first question is, and I actually do know the answer to this, and I will answer the question I'm about to ask. My first question would be, why did you go for the job? Now, I've read earlier today. Actually, read it earlier today that she mentioned. I believe she mentioned that she went for the job because it was paying 3 times as much as the current job that she was doing for a non-profit organization. That just makes complete sense. Now it makes complete sense. 3 times as much. Come on, you're going from, I don't know what she was on before, but you're going from I guess a steady part-time job here would be probably like in the range of about maybe 10 grand a year. So then go from that to 30. Yeah, I'll do whatever the job is. I don't care if I have no knowledge of it whatsoever. Give me that job. But then we begin to ask the question, as wrestling fans, as folks that have been complaining about Raw specifically, because she was a writer for Raw, the show itself, not WWE in general as a company, but specifically Monday Night Raw. she was given the job to write for Raw, and the other thing she admitted was not knowing the name of the most important wrestler on the show, the WWE Champion Bobby Lashley, who she called, and I quote, what's his name again? Something like Bobby Ashley. I've had enough. And then, of course, we begin to ask the question, so why would WWE give this woman a job? Or anyone who has no background, no interest in the company? I know. Now, you tell me different, bro. I don't know if you've had a different type of interview in your lifetime, but I know full well, whenever you go for an interview, and if ever you went to like the careers officer or something, the one thing they would advise you to do is research the company that you're about to go for a job for. Okay. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to know what you're doing, whether you're experienced or not. You've got to have either an interest in what's going on, how they operate, all that kind of stuff. You need to check them out before you even go for the job, let alone the interview. How do we get here? What's your thoughts, bro? I don't understand. Like, how do we even get here?
I'll just take it back. I'll talk about the dark place that you don't like, Twitter. Back to
gosh, I don't want to know what's been going on there.
It was very positive when she got hired. It wasn't just her. There was another black female that was hired.
I believe there's probably 2 or 3 that are on the payroll. And
there was a lot of positive noise that that there's finally some type of representation in a good area. It's not quite maybe high up as we would like sometimes, but it's a very good area because the influence in the stories happening on the show.
Of course,
people were very, very happy about the hiring. Lo and behold, this has kind of disseminated into what it is now. Now, WWE, it's not a new thing that they hire people that aren't wrestling people.
Right.
After all,
we know that.
As far as I can see, WWE are more concerned with writing a TV show rather than a wrestling show.
Correct.
AEW, Impact write wrestling shows. Right. WWE are writing TV or films, as they like to say. We make movies. Okay.
They've said that.
So they come and get this. They get this person in who has no knowledge. And for me, if she has credibility or a past in writing TV or whatever the case is, it makes sense. After all, these people that we are watching are just characters or playing a character. Or this
Correct.
So it makes sense. Maybe that is the minimum requirement. The minimum, as they write on the job description, you must have knowledge of TV writing. And
I'd love to see that application description, bro.
Yeah, but it's true. It would be interesting to see that, but that has to be it because, she, as she has said, this isn't rumored. As she has said, she has no interest in WWE. She has no interest in wrestling. She didn't know who the WWE champion was per se. And I'm going to say a phrase which I know I'm very familiar with. I'm sure you are very familiar with. We've probably had uncles, aunties, grandparents say this to us in our lifetime. Hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. Because you have got the job.
To rephrase, please be quiet.
Yes. Like, you by all admissions that you have said, you have nailed the job that has paid X amount times that you're used to, that you were currently getting. Why are you coming out to say all of this stuff about you have no interest in this? You're almost mocking them as an employer. Like, look at these guys. These jabronis gave me a job. I know nothing about this stuff. They gave me a job. Right. Who's their champion? Right. Bobby Ashley? Who's that guy?
Right.
He wears a suit. He's part of the Hurt business, or they walk around wearing suits or something.
He wears suits. What?
Hush him out, because you have basically exposed yourself and you've lost your job. You lost your job that pays 3 times more than whatever you were getting before. Like, this isn't uncommon for people to sneak, and I use the word sneak, into the workplace and get jobs which they're unexperienced. However, what normal people usually do is stay quiet, learn the job, and then they can give it the big, hoo-ha afterwards, like, oh, I got this job with no experience, but here I am now. Yeah,
Right.
X amount of
Right,
months
right.
or years down the line. Bro,
Right.
I don't even think it's been a month she was in that job.
Nah. Very recently got the job.
Hush your damn mouth. Be quiet. Learn. And then come and be boasting if that's what you want to come and do. But it's just very embarrassing. Like I said, everyone was very happy. This is a black woman that's been given an opportunity, and she's come out and embarrassed herself. And we always say it, you're an example for all of us. They will think twice about hiring another black woman in the future now because of the likes of this. It is not a good look.
All painted with the same Kenice Mobley brush, and that means you're gonna get rejected. You're not gonna get the job, or I don't know. It's gonna take a long time for us to see. Or they're gonna have to be overly qualified for the job. Basically, like you have to be a comedy writer for the biggest series on Netflix or whatever it is to even be considered now, because she's just missed it up. And but here's the thing: I've seen many kind of a debate or questions asked, even just in articles about this, about who are the ones that look the silliest. Is it Kenice Mobley herself, or is it the WWE for being kind of exposed, I guess, for the way they've hired their staff? NK's mentioned in the comments that we all know that wrestling's an entertainment product and would rather be associated with brands like Disney than a wrestling brand. She's a comedy writer. NK said that in the chat. And I've seen a few people on Instagram kind of throw in the argument of, we all know that WWE hires people that are not necessarily wrestling people and blah 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 and all the rest of it. We do know that, but it's also the same thing that we've been complaining about for how many years. So as much as it's fact that that's what they do, in no way does that make it better or right or positive in any way for me.
That's true.
I don't understand, like, anyone who's kind of using that as as almost a defense for WWE. I'm like, okay, right, cool, fine. Let's switch the scenario slightly, and let's do a black sitcom, for example. We're talking about comedy. We're talking about black people. Let's write a black sitcom. It's a comedy. It's about families. It's on TV. So let's hire a posh white guy to write all the jokes.
Yeah, doesn't add up.
Tell me where there's the sense in that. So as much as they're trying to entertain, they're only writing entertainment and their main thing is about entertainment, which is fine. They are very kind of, upfront about that, which is good. It's great. But at the same time, the minimum requirement surely is to have a knowledge and interest in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, if that's not your experience, if that's not what you did before, cool, no problem. But if that's what your interest is, let's do it. Because, mate, I'm sure me and you have never done news on the BBC.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We've never done that before. But at the same time, we can come in here and do what we're doing now and been doing for the last half a year because we have an interest in wrestling, and we kind of get away with it. Get away with it because of our love and interest in wrestling. You know what I mean? That's why we do what we do and can do what we do, and push ourselves and progress and all that kind of stuff, and have viewers and blah blah. Whereas you got a show that people have been complaining about for however long, and you're hiring people who have no idea about the product and what then people want.
It's mind-boggling.
So to me, it's on the WWE. This is. Kenice Mobley was not very clever at all in the slightest for coming out and saying what she's saying, especially in the way she did. You said in the sense of her kind of like, these like idiots, almost like these like idiots for hiring me when I had no knowledge of the job.
Yeah.
Imagine I know of people who have done a very similar thing in a very different field, and they're like,
Same.
"Yo, I got the job. You know, I'm getting paid 30 grand a year, and I don't even know what I'm doing."
But they don't go and say it to a media outlet.
Exactly.
You might say it to your friend, your mom or dad.
For your boss to find out. You're not putting it on social media. You're not. It's just crazy on all levels. It's crazy on all levels. The dark side of what's happened actually. So she's been reportedly has been sacked.
Yeah.
That I can't say I'm surprised. I'm not even upset about it necessarily. It makes complete sense. You made the company look stupid at the end of the day. So I'm not completely surprised by that. But the dark side of it is that we mentioned that there are another 2, possibly 3 other black females amongst the personnel writing team creative in WWE. It was said, I think it was Wilkins that said it, that there's been a lot of racist remarks and comments towards all these other black females on Twitter. Like, why?
Yeah, it's not
we mentioned about, you know, now any future black females that want to try and get into the company, maybe, you know, painted with the same brush and, you know, probably won't be given a chance. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that's right. That's not right at all, of course. But then that doesn't then mean it's a free for all for you to then just start, you know, belittling every other black female within the company. That's just ridiculous. And that part of it for me is, you know, the upsetting part about, you know, this whole thing. The only part of it, I guess, I find, you know, sympathy and angered by, whereas the rest of it is just like, you lot messed up. This part is really. This
is how life is predominantly for a black person. Like,
of course.
Yeah, one person goes in there and messes up, then it's literally like all of you are under the microscope.
Yep.
All of you are open for under scrutiny. It's open house on you, and it shouldn't be. Of course, we're all individuals. You should never be marked with the same brush, but this is what it is. And through one's stupidity, now the rest of them are gonna find probably a pretty tough time settling in what is, like I say, still a new job. They haven't been there for a month yet. It's even come out today that a lot of wrestlers took offense to Kenice Mobley's comments and stuff like that, which they would. Wrestling, you already know, is a very sensitive industry. It's a very protected kind of industry. And you know how backstage works. The creative will have an idea and they'll run it past Vince, this, that, and the other. Then creative will pull the wrestlers into a room and be like, okay, boom, this is the idea, this is what's happening.
Right.
And now, like you said, those ladies that are left behind to kind of fight what Kenice has done, they're going to be pulling wrestlers into a room and people might just not be buying into them just because of whatever that's happened with this person or woman before.
Right.
Like, it's going to be harder to get their points across, their ideas across, because it's just like, do you even care? Do you even know my name? Like, it's a real big mess. And yeah, just all the best to the women that are working there still, male or female, black or white, whatever the case, and trying to get their ideas across. But yeah, she's really messed up. WWE, they have to do better in their recruitment. Like you said, wrestling has to come first before the skill of, you know, writing TV and stuff is, yes, something that will come with experience, but it's a skill. Like the passion, the interest has to be there first.
Exactly.
And everything else can be taught, really. So yeah, their recruitment has to be better. But yeah, this woman coming and speaking out as if this thing is a joke, like it's now looking kind of worms.
And the scariest thing, the craziest thing of it all as well is that this all came out in the same week now that WWE let go how many 8 or 9 different wrestlers just the last few days ago, and you know, which is about maybe 3 weeks after they let go of some of their bigger names, a few weeks back as well. And I think WWE is under some serious fire at the moment because especially Raw, very specifically Raw itself. It's been very, 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 very weak, very weak in recent weeks. You mentioned the last 2 weeks have been consistent, but doesn't necessarily mean those last 2 weeks have been good.
Better than everything else.
Better than it has been,
but not amazing. Yeah,
still not like, oh, I need to watch Raw. Definitely not in that sense. And then we also hear about this recruiting thing. There's a possibly WWE, they call it the flagship roster. I've been told, I can't remember where I heard this now, but I've been told it's not the main roster, it's the flagship roster.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen that. I've heard that somewhere. So on the flagship roster now, they're going to WWE PC and the Performance Center, where the NXT roster train and all those that are trying to, been given the development contracts and trying to make their way in the WWE, and have been looking to revamp this, revamp the main roster, the flagship roster. Let me correct myself again. So I think they see that they need to do something different. We mentioned ages ago, a few weeks ago, when they first got rid of that week, they got rid of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, and all of those people, that there's a possibility that they're getting rid of some people and are probably looking to sell up. Yeah. Are looking to sell off the company and stuff like that. I believe these latest, releases as well is another good sign of that, because some of the guys that were released were only recruited in April.
Yeah.
Some of them let go already. It's basically the whole of what has been the 205 roster for the last 4 months, maybe before, even before WrestleMania. Yeah. These same guys were coming out every single week, and you're wondering what is the point in the show. But anyway, they carried on. So it's kind of like, okay, what is actually going on here? I'm scratching my head as to wondering what we are doing, or what WWE are doing with their business, with their roster, with everything that's going on, but yet still want to bring up new talent. And I've seen that they're doing a tryout in Las Vegas.
On SummerSlam weekend or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, just on 205 Live, it looks like they are scrapping that basically, because if you remember some time ago now, NXT have basically swallowed the cruiserweight belt as the NXT cruiserweight championship. So it's been moving away from 205 for a minute now. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said that basically they are looking to recruit big names into the cruiserweight division. Obviously, last week we saw the debut of Diamond Mine into the cruiserweight division, including Roderick Strong. Obviously, Escobar, Kushida have been doing brilliant work before that. So maybe they are just having NXT swallow the 205 Live banner, and that's going to be on the show. I would like to see the likes of maybe Ricochet, after Money in the Bank, move down to NXT and become part of that cruiserweight division if he's not going to do much on the main roster. Very Even true. Cedric, I don't see it as a backwards move, to be honest. I see them, as the big names, rather than having to go out and sign some of these guys who I don't know could be. We've got two brilliant names in Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, which could fall down into that division and do some great work. It's just not clear. Like, maybe they're just clearing things up before they go back on the road. They realize swallowing this talent isn't productive. It's not financially brilliant, and they're just trying to clear things up. There's just a lot to be desired of in this company. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, my first thought when they started doing the releases and stuff, and it was the whole thing of, they're going back on the road. That costs money. It was, both things were announced, the releases, that first set of releases, and them going back on the road was all announced in the same week. So it just made sense to me that must be what they're doing. That would still make sense. It would still make complete perfect sense to me as well. 205 kind of you know, it never actually really went anywhere. I think actually no, at one point it did when it was after SmackDown, when it was filmed after SmackDown. Then it was moved.
205 was brilliant when like Neville was champion, Buddy Murphy
Neville,
was champion, Cedric
Murphy,
Alexander,
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, it was so good there.
Yeah.
It again, it lost a lot of that kind of star power. The
Mm-hmm.
names that were there, they weren't really big enough characters. I think it all really went downhill when, and I don't want to pick on him, but Tony Nese, he beat Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania for the championship, and it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, that's true.
Very good in the ring, just not very interesting.
Yeah. That's very true. And as you said, you know, NXT has swallowed that whole cruiserweight division. The cruiserweight championship is always on NXT, never on 205. I never understood that. They even mentioned just last week that, you know, they're going to put more effort into the cruiserweight division on NXT. So 205 is obviously must be going. It must be going. Speaking of 205 cruiserweight division, we saw his second appearance on NXT. Carmelo Hayes, formerly known as Christian Casanova, the top talent that is Carmelo Hayes. He came out and out of nowhere challenged former NXT champion, the longest reigning NXT champion in history, Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby. He went down the route of, I get it. Well, I don't know if I liked it, but I get it. He went down the route of the very iconic scene when John Cena first made his appearance on WWE TV, came out in, you know, very generic look, very generic trunks, like some, you know, a jobber, basically. He was going to get destroyed by Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle was questioning him, what are you doing here, you little small boy, basically. And John Cena's coming away with ruthless aggression.
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes did the same thing. As I said, I get what he was doing. I get it. You know, same energy. He said that himself, same energy. I don't know if that was the right thing to do. But I'm gonna let you say.
It's been talked about a lot this week, and like, why did he do it? It was cringe, blah blah blah. And to be honest, I did think that like when he was kind of teeing it up, I was just, you know, watching NXT, and I said in my head, I said ruthless aggression, and then he said it, and I said, oh my god, man, that's so cringe. And then they had a fantastic match. That's the best thing that happened. He definitely got across as, you know, the talent that he is. Again, this just didn't really map up because this isn't his first appearance on NXT. It's his second at this point. So yeah, it would have worked better if it was the first, maybe, I guess, but they should have really just left it. But yeah, tremendous talent. And yeah, this is someone that I think clearly they know he's ready. He came in at a time with, I think, one of Steiner's sons and this Parker Bordeaux and all of these other guys. He's excelled. Them man are still doing like security jobs backstage and all of this kind of stuff. So, bruv, I see Rick Steiner breaking up Ember Moon and Raquel Gonzalez fight.
Lord.
So yeah, it's they know he's ready, and hopefully with this emergence of the whole 205 thing on NXT, that he's going to be a key part of that.
Listen, man, I noticed this guy. He's one of those guys that I noticed about maybe 3 years ago, along with the likes of like Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, who we now see on Impact every week, even MSK, you know, then Desmond Xavier. Those guys, and even Swerve at the time, actually, when it was Shane Strickland, those guys I kind of saw about maybe 2-3 years ago, and I was like, yep, these guys are the ones that we need to watch. And for me, I guess he's like the last one of the bunch to really kind of come on our TV screens on a regular. So I already know how ready he is. He's already shared the ring with Rey Mysterio, Darby Allin, Moxley. Who else? There's a few other names. He's had great matches with ACH in the past, We see Myron Reed on Major League Wrestling. Those two, just type in Christian Casanova, Myron Reed. There's probably about 4 or 5 matches. Them two go at it. It's crazy. You know how we know the little history with Ricochet and Will Ospreay. This is like this is like the the beta version of that. Like their rivalry, their matches always on point. So to see him where he is now is amazing. He did mention in a backstage interview after the match that obviously he had that great match with Kushida a few weeks ago. That was his first match, but then he was like, for me to really excel, I have to go for the big boys. I have to show myself with the top talent, to use the phrase. So I think that's why he came out of nowhere, confronted Adam Cole, and did what he did. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him now. From now on, is he going to be in a program with Cole? Is he going to get into something else with someone else who's kind of been around the NXT scene for a while? What's next for Carmelo Hayes? I'm not too sure. I don't see them pushing him straight to the cruiserweight, main picture in the cruiserweight division. But I think that will come in a very short time. In a very short time. We as you mentioned, we've already got this thing with the Diamond Mine attacking Kushida, so that's going to be Roderick Strong and Kushida for a few weeks, maybe. We saw, that was after Kyle O'Reilly faced Kushida as well. So we've got a few faces, a few names that we could see easily as cruiserweight champion or as strong contenders for the championship. So I don't necessarily see Carmelo Hayes being thrown in there straight away. But at the same time, even if he was, he would fit in. He would absolutely fit in with no problems at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he does there. In other news, we were talking about shakeups and all the rest of it in WWE. We've seen the news that there's a possibility, there's the rumor that Big E may be going to Raw. Now, I think that WWE have watched this show and have listened to Mex say every single week that, Big E should be sent back to Raw. So they're like, Mex said it, so maybe we should. What are your thoughts? And now that it's kind of been rumored, and usually, obviously, rumors are rumors, but at the same time, there's no smoke without fire. So of course, it's a strong possibility that's going to happen. How do you see it happening? I know for a fact that you're, I guess, positive minded about the whole thing.
I think it's just a case of needing credible babyface challengers for the title. There is none at the top of the card apart from Drew, Kofi Kingston, but that may happen at Money in the Bank, as we know.
Right.
And then it's a case of who else? Who's next? Damian Priest could have been a good hand, but they don't seem to really be doing much with him per se. And Big E is someone that they are invested in, very much invested in. Said they're going to give him a singles run. That hasn't come to fruition so far on SmackDown, probably through the emergence of Apollo and what he's been doing, as well as the excellence of Roman Reigns, and knowing that he ain't going to challenge for that top title, or Roman's not going to lose anytime soon. No fault of Big E's. So making the switch is definitely a good idea. I think, especially, soon after, if Kofi's going to lose to Bobby Lashley, we believe, and then, one of Kofi's other good mates comes out to basically take on the reins and challenge Bobby Lashley. I think that could be really good, and seeing them reunite in a way, New Day, or at least on the same show together and have some segments together could be fun. But this will never happen, but I'm going to put it out into the universe anyway.
Go on.
Big E, we obviously saw him qualify for Money in the Bank, so that could even throw a bit of a spanner in the works as to this moving over to Raw kind of stuff. Wouldn't it be something if Big E won Money in the Bank, Kofi Kingston wins WWE Championship at Money in the Bank, and Big E cashes in on Kofi same night?
That, bro, when I say, listen, that would be my dream come true.
That would be something.
You know what? You know what? Actually, no. I literally wanted that to happen last year.
Oh.
I wanted that to happen last year. While Kofi Kingston was the champion, Big E wins the Money in the Bank, and then boom, we get them to whether that be a straight cash in, whether that be a match, something. That's literally what I wanted to happen. I don't see it happening. I can't necessarily make sense of it in terms of story, blah blah blah. But it's not impossible. Again, as we said, Kofi's about to challenge for the WWE Championship. Big E has already qualified for Money in the Bank. Compared to last year, I don't see Big E winning Money in the Bank. I don't see Big E winning Money in the Bank.
Who's your early guesses as to who could? It's Big E, Morrison.
In terms of who's there, so we've got Big E, Riddle. Is Drew okay? Yeah, Drew qualified yesterday. It's gonna be Drew.
It's looking.
I don't like to say, and I love Drew, as everybody already knows, but I don't want it to be that way. I don't like the Money in the Bank being used for the person who probably could and should be number one contender anyway.
Yeah.
Especially after he's lost his chance at challenging. It's just like, all right. Yeah. But at the same time, with everyone else that's in there, I can't see them even building that person within the next 3-4 weeks, however long it is, to make me believe that they should win the Money in the Bank. It's then not impossible for someone to win the Money in the Bank, like say Ricochet or Riddle. I think Riddle is probably the most realistic one. For Riddle to win, and then over time, while he is holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, they build him like that. That's happened before with The Miz. Is a perfect example of that. But yeah, the early prediction is a very difficult one. I do kind of just see as Drew. We've got SmackDown on Friday to find out the rest of the competitors. But unless Cesaro or Seth Rollins is in it, I can't see no one else but Drew winning it. If Seth's in it, very strong possibility it's him.
That would be fun.
Very strong possibility. I think that would be perfect. I think it would be perfect. It would be perfect. It would be a perfect way for possibly for Roman to lose. I don't see that happening. We're building to this Roman Cena thing, and whether that happens at SummerSlam or WrestleMania or whatever else, we'll see. But I think he'd be the perfect candidate to beat Roman Reigns with the briefcase. Seth's champion. Good to go. That's cool. But yeah, I don't know about Big E. Him going to Raw, again, don't care. I don't care. I've got no interest in it. I've got no interest in it whatsoever. I've basically lost this interest, or the belief, should I say, that I just know that WWE don't have that same belief in him to make him the champion, or it's going to take a while from now to get back to that. It's just not worked.
I think when crowds come back, I think if they get a Kofi Mania-esque push by the fans for Big E, then they'll do it. I'm not sure that they are convinced.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, despite them thinking and saying, we're giving him a singles push, this, that, and the other, somewhere along the line, they've clearly lost belief. And if fans come back and drive for Big E, then I think that will course correct it. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that they quite believe and that they're going to pull a trigger on it just as it is right now.
Yeah, man. And I got to give, Apollo his flowers again, because he's just pulling out of the bag every single week, man. His matches, everything that he's doing with Commander Aziz, but especially those matches, he's just pulling it out of the bag left, right, and center. And I'm just like, yeah, this guy is on it. Yeah. This guy is going to make a difference. Trust me. Moving across the pond, and I'm purposely wearing this shirt today. It came through.
Man, like
the Jade Cargill shirt. I'm officially jaded. For weeks 4 weeks, we saw this whole thing with Jade talking about she doesn't need no manager and she is hot enough and everyone wants to sign her as part of their faction or wants to be a manager and she don't need nobody. It was clear and obvious what was about to happen.
Yeah.
She was going to get a manager. Lo and behold, we get this kind of creepy, slimy lawyer.
Basically, yeah.
Called Smart Mark. Yeah, apparently smart. He's come along and he's convinced her that he can get her, the most money, the most fame. And Jade Cargill, being Jade Cargill, is like, okay, let's see how this works. You talk me through how you see this one, how it's played out first, and how you see it. Where do you see it going?
Bro, I have no idea. I wouldn't say losing interest in Jade. I'm just losing interest in these promos. Like you said, it was for weeks. I don't need a manager. 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 Then manager came along. Okay, I'm her manager. I'm her manager. Like, this is what I'm doing for her. This, that, and the other. Like, I understand she's still learning her actual in-ring craft, so they don't want to overexpose her, and she is a star. She is packaged like a star, so for that reason as well, we don't want to overexpose her. But even just the presentation of everything, like, change it up. Like, we know the manager thing, the faction thing is very heavy in AEW. I don't have an issue with that per se, but it's just very odd how her and this guy are coming across, and I don't really feel it's doing much for her every week, ending every promo with "I'm that B." Like, it's come on, there's something else. Like, okay, he's signing. The last promo was that he's finally brokered a deal to get her shirts made or shirts sold or whatever the case is. Like, show us, maybe you guys, a vignette in the boardroom and doing that and walking out with the money from the deal, and like, just present it maybe in a different way. Or he's doing all of that and she's chilling in a poolside or whatever the case is, and she just gets a call from him saying that it's done, like the deal's done, and like, standing against a plain background every week saying that I'm the manager, this is what I'm doing for her, I'm that B. Like, come on, like, let's move on from here. It's 4 weeks of I don't need a manager, 4 weeks of this. She needs more if we're gonna kind of develop this character, in my opinion.
When they first started doing the I don't need a manager promo, I was like, okay, cool, I like this. Let's run with this. As you said, she's very new to the craft in general, very little indie experience and stuff like that. Never did many shows at all, apart from face to face, where she was training in the very early stages of her training. And it was nice to see that she was kind of standing up on her own 2 feet, like, I can do this by myself. I'm that good. I'm that well packaged. I'm that beautiful. I'm that built. I'm that strong. I'm that talented that I can do this by myself. I do not need a manager. I was like, yes, this is what we want. Let's build this woman. Let her take on whoever else, and every single female on the roster, and beat as many as possible, and then reach some level of top of the card, challenging for the women's championship or something like that over a short period of time. Brilliant. When that promo continued, possibly in its like third, maybe fourth week, with no action, I was like, right, we're about to get the opposite, aren't we? Vicky Guerrero is going to come in at some point. Jake the Snake is probably going to have a word in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? She'll probably next to, she'll probably end up joining Team Taz with her and her gym partner, Brian Cage. You know what I mean? I just knew something was going to happen. For it to be him, this smart Mark, slimy Mark, I'm just like, I understand the comedic level of it. There's some comedy in it and whatever else. And even what you suggested about the vignettes, about him doing all the work and maybe sweating while he's typing up this and having meetings and whatever. And then she's just chilling all the time. And fine. We still got a comedic thing, but we've got substance to what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Whereas at the moment, it's kind of like it's tired. And as you said, you know, because Jade isn't already a star, hasn't come from anything specific, doesn't have a background that we could that we all followed and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
it's dangerous and a little bit detrimental in terms of what the fans are seeing and how the fans perceive her. She now just comes across as obnoxious in the sense that you dislike it completely, like not dislike her as a heel in the sense of love to hate her, but kind of like, all right, fed up of it now. I'm bored now. I don't want that to happen. She's way better than that. Way better than that.
Exactly.
And it can be done properly. It can be done. As much as I'm not necessarily on the same wavelength as what they're trying to do, there is still something that can be worked with. But they need to flip the switch a little bit and you know, basically shove a rocket on this thing and go full tilt. You know what I mean? For this to really work, she's new, she's fresh. It's got to go all the way, unless it's, you know, if not, it's not going to go anywhere at all.
They may be buying time until obviously we get this Rampage show on TV in August, which gives her more TV time. So yeah, they're just maybe just buying time. So they want to put her on TV, but just there's limited time on Dynamite. So where we have 2 TV shows, she can then flourish over there because I'm sure they know like they don't really spend their time on Elevation or Dark getting characters over. It's just more of just so maybe her time will really come in the next couple of months. But yeah, just present the whole spiel differently. Like 4 weeks of the same look of this and that. The only thing that's changing is her brilliant outfits.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Yeah. Everything is the same to the point where you might even start being able to follow along, like mouth what she's saying.
Predict.
Like,
yeah. Mouth it along with her. Yeah. So. And I'm that B. It reminds me of Mia Yim's head B in charge.
Head B in charge.
I absolutely hate that. Yeah, absolutely hate that with a passion. But this is what we're doing. This is where we're at. It kind of. This is where we're at. That's enough. In terms of, so, you know, we're still talking about newbies and new people making appearances, and the final one I want to talk about is someone who was recently released from NXT. He signed with the company, I think it was early 2019, made his debut early last year to I think it was February 2020, just before the pandemic hit. So then after that, boom. No house shows on NXT anymore, or for NXT, should I say. So very little basically no action for all the development talent on NXT. And this guy, known as EJ Nduka, if I'm saying that right, if I'm saying it wrong, don't correct me. I don't want to look silly. Yeah, you say it better than me. I don't know. That's your forte, mate. if his name's Carlton or Winston, then that's cool. That's more Jamaican. You know what I mean? But
Leroy and them, man.
Leroy. Yeah, exactly. We're good. But yeah, he was eventually, before he just made his NXT debut on a house show, he was renamed Ezra Judge. Yeah. He's keeping this whole Judge thing, which I think is great. I think he's an absolutely nice little thing to go with, as long as he doesn't start coming out wearing the white wig. He's good. But he has, you know, just been signed to Major League Wrestling. Now, my question is this clever or is this a risk? We personally don't know what he's necessarily capable of. We haven't been exposed to it. We haven't seen it. I know that he was, you know, touted as a promising star. I'm sure the MLW back staff somehow have seen him do his thing and must have a good idea of what he can do for them to announce him as a signing, especially as part of their little month-long draft. They come back on TV in July, I believe, and he's going to appear on his first appearance is going to be in their what do they call it again? The Battle Riot match, which is basically a 40-man battle royal.
Okay.
And that show's already sold out. So they're making a big step in signing him, announcing him, drafting him. We've never seen him. What are your thoughts?
I think this is an absolute like Hail Mary. Like, I was shocked the fact they signed him. I'm shocked the fact they made such a big deal about it.
Right.
I'm so happy for him.
Yep.
Like I became invested in this guy. Obviously, we knew he was performance center talent, training and stuff like that. I didn't even know he had made his like a house show debut.
Yeah.
I became invested in this guy because I just saw how big of a character he was in early pandemic days in the performance center when them man were behind the glass and they were the crowd, and the camera would always find EJ and he's always up to some kind of madness, celebrating, doing all of that kind of stuff that they want you to do to sell to us that this is a real crowd. But going the extra mile, and I thought, this guy's got bags of charisma. I have to look out for him whenever he comes on NXT. I have to look out for this guy because there is something special here. Like, and then to hear that he's released was just like, well, was this completely necessary? Because again, assuming like if we just assume this is a money thing, then it's like they couldn't have been, making loads. Like, so what was
he has no formal wrestling experience. He's not like Ricochet who became big, or anyone else, Carmelo Hayes, now who had some kind of background or following beforehand. He was literally a bodybuilder beforehand, and I think he's got some kind of martial art that he's knows as well, and that's literally it. No wrestling experience whatsoever.
Very weird. Like, I was just thinking, why would they have released him unless maybe he asked for it, which I don't know who would ask to lose their job not knowing that where the next paycheck's coming from,
right?
But then the massive news of him getting signed, and like you said, how they're treating it is like literally like a big name signee coming in. I am very much looking forward to what this comes. He's backed himself. I follow him on Instagram, and he's got straight to work on the t-shirts and the branding and making himself look the part. He's still training heavily every day. Know nothing about this guy, but I'm fully invested in seeing what the outcome is. Go him, and hopefully if other people find themselves in such situations, they can make such a fast bounce back as he has done. So looking
I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what does happen when Major League Wrestling comes back, because it's not just EJ that is a new signing who has been promoted as one of the new drafts. There's another one we know of called Lee Moriarty, who has he's like the indie savior right now. When it comes to black wrestlers, he is the guy that everyone wants to know. When Ricochet was still on the indies, he was that guy. When Leo Rush, when Shane Strickland, when they were kind of, they were those guys that everyone was like watching every single thing that they did and waiting for them to be signed by one of the major companies. So Lee Moriarty is another one. There's another guy that very few people know about, and he's actually, I'm sure, he's probably only 2, maybe 3 years professional. A guy called Alex Kane, who's very much like a suplex machine type of wrestler. They've made noise about him being drafted and going to be in this Battle Riot match as well. And these guys are coming in with the other bigger names in Major League. So the likes of Hammerstone, Myron Reed, and a few others that have been about. Calvin Tankman is another one who's been killing it on Major League the last year or so. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do, what then happens with them after this big match, and how they promote and push them, and use them in the months to come. I'm overly excited to see, or for EJ as well, being rejected by NXT, being released, and then within weeks he's on ML. It's not some little small promotion in the south of Florida who's gonna have a thing in a hall with probably 50 people there. This is a sold out show with possibly what, the 5th biggest wrestling company in America. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. As you said, he's got the look. He's a regular. He's a regular feature on the Wrestling Drip weekly post. So we know he's got the style. As you said, charisma as well. Like him, Ricochet, and Reginald got their own little TikTok thing going on as well. They've got a good following with that. They're very close, always in the gym together as well. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I've not seen any real footage of what he can do. I just know that he had that debut match, and he did a promo alongside who we now see as Mace. I forget his name, but he's now Mace. Dio Madden. He was alongside Dio Madden when he first started doing his promos during the NXT house shows, and the charisma was there. The talk, he kind of had it already. He's kind of good to go. So, yeah, man, very excited to see what happens. We've got a few minutes. I was going to make this a slightly shorter show, but we've been talking and it kind of felt nice, so we carried on talking. We've got a few minutes to mention very, very quickly our stars of the week. I'm going to let you go first. I know who mine is, but I'm going to let you go first.
Star of the week. I haven't given this much of a thought. There's a couple of people. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first then. Okay. So we've mentioned him already, and I've said everything about him already, so I won't say it all again, but mine has to be Carmelo Hayes. As I said, to see him where he is now, to see him have great matches with the likes of Kushida and Adam Cole. Those are your first 2 matches in the WWE, and they both have been amazing matches as well. Everyone's been saying how he just fits in, how he looks the part, how he's ready to go, how he, the chemistry in the ring, all the rest of it. So it couldn't have been anyone else.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I think he's gonna make waves, definitely. I think we probably would have known that before the match with Adam Cole anyway. But for them to trust him in that spot, it says a lot for where they see him in the future. Cool. Okay. I'm going to choose Top Dollar from Hit Row. I don't know what it is about this guy, but I believe it. Wherever he's selling, I'm buying. There is something special happening there, to the point where, what's his face is Isaiah Swerve Scott is still the front man of the group,
of course.
But Top Dollar he's really shining, like maybe even outshining Swerve since the inception of this group.
Maybe just a little.
And maybe it's because of obviously his past in TV, or works as a presenter. He's familiar with the camera and stuff like that. It's refreshing to just see a big man that can actually move around and all of that kind of stuff. But obviously they had a tag match with Everrise, who had a tag match and got released the next day, basically.
You know what? A part of me hopes that Hit Row play on that when we next see them on NXT.
Yeah, maybe. But I just there's something that this guy has, which I can't quite spot it yet. Pull it out what it is. But I'm very much into everything that Top Dollar is doing. So
for sure, man. As you said, man, he's a big guy. He can move, man. Coming from a professional American football background, there's no surprise. As a big man, he can move. That's what American football is basically about. So that's amazing. But he comes with a charisma. For me, when I see him, and as you were talking about, I'm thinking, who can I compare him to? Who is he like? Who does he remind me of? And in a funny way, he kind of reminds me of a larger D'Lo Brown.
It's slightly,
He reminds me of a larger D'Lo Brown, where the charisma is so high. It's just so high, where it comes across correct. He knows what to say, what to do. And it's what I loved. D'Lo Brown, as many people know, is like my favorite wrestler ever. And for me, the biggest thing for me, what D'Lo Brown did was these little things that he did, just little actions. So the first thing was the whole head movement, but it was still like little things when you know, Nation Domination would beat up someone or the rest of it. He would be the one kind of doing the whole, you know,
the mocking afterwards,
mocking afterwards and all that kind of stuff. You know, and I see Top Dollar doing all that kind of thing, or whether that be after they've beat someone up while he's in the ring against someone, he does all of that. So that's that for me. That's the kind of guy that I'm seeing, is that massive character to then be backed up with what he can do in the ring. You know, he definitely is the one that, you know, with factions we see all the time. We've got the one guy who's the main guy, and then we've got the one guy who comes out on top. I think he's definitely gonna, you know, seen as gonna be that guy. So yeah, Top Dollar is a strong one, definitely one to watch, and it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with him, and how that whole hit roll dynamic works. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. But folks, that has been our show for today. We came on early. Jonesy put in the chat very early on, and that it's interesting to see us. We're committed to doing the show before the England game, mate. I didn't care, but you know, if that's how you see it, I'll take it.
Gotta go watch it now.
Yeah. I think the first half is probably about over almost. They're probably losing 3-0 to Germany. Anyway, but this is how it goes. Folks, thank you for joining us. This has been WrstlXtra. Of course, you are watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, and of course, listening on AffinityExtra.com. Join us next week. And before that, follow us on social media, Instagram, Black Wrestling Alliance. That is me. And this guy is on Instagram and Twitter. Black. No, he's not black. He's black, but he's not Black Wrestling Alliance. He's black. But he's a WrestleMania UK.
He's not black.
On that note, folks, I'm gone. See you later, people. In a bit.
Take care.